Hello everybody, welcome to the first ever Children's Chorus of Washington Harmony Hour. I'm Robbie Jacobs, Children's Chorus of Washington's Executive Director, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be here today with Margaret Nomura Clark, our Artistic Director. Harmony Hour, our new initiative, is intended to spotlight the most important people in the CCW community, share a little bit of their stories, and give you, our community, an opportunity to hear a little bit about people's backgrounds. So our first ever guest is Margaret Nomura Clark, who is celebrating her 10th year as CCW's Artistic Director. Congratulations, Margaret.
Thank you.
And in that time, Margaret has achieved some amazing things that I'll give her the opportunity to speak more about in a few minutes, but I wanted to highlight some that really stand out to me. First of all, on the artistic side, the amazing partnerships that she's built with the National Symphony Orchestra, Washington National Opera, Wolf Trap Opera, and many more, some of the best professional performing ensembles in our city. She spearheaded the DCPS All-City Chorus, which now impacts over 200 students citywide. And she also launched the WETA Songs of the Season, amazing video project that was born in the pandemic. And now our chorus has over 330 singers in it, thanks to Margaret's leadership. So thank you for tuning in, and I'm going to jump into this conversation. Margaret, again, congratulations on your 10th anniversary. 10 years ago, you decided to leave home on the West Coast and make the journey over here to DC. I wonder if you might tell us a little bit about what motivated that, and what about CCW made you excited to take on a new challenge?
First of all, I can't believe it's been 10 years. It's just the time has flown, and so many things have happened over that time, many exciting things, and I still feel like I have many more ideas and plans for things moving forward. When I first found CCW, it was when I was a teacher back in California, and I had known about Joan and the work that she did over here, even from California. We didn't have a lot of social media or any of that. And it was clear to me that the artistic excellence was this top notch, and to have someone start a chorus here and establish a chorus, I was really inspired by that. So I had been following Joan for many, many years. I had all her CDs and was listening to them and used them as my resource for my own repertoire. And then I saw this job posting that she was going to be retiring, and it was almost too good to be true in my mind. It's very rare to find a full-time artistic director position opening, and my parents had passed away, and I was thinking, why do I really need to stay in California if there could be a way that I could fulfill my dream over here in DC? It turns out my mother-in-law also is out here, and my older daughter was attending college out here too, so I kind of felt drawn here, and was really, really excited that this opportunity came. And I applied. I wasn't sure if I'd even get it, but then they said, nope, we want you. So that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, amazing. And you spoke a little bit about your predecessor in the position, Joan Gregoric, Miss G, to a lot of our listeners. Stepping into her shoes, I imagine, was a nerve-wracking experience. And she's a legend of the choral ecosystem. She built this chorus from nothing to the amazing thing that it was 10 years ago. How did that feel when you were taking on that amazing mantle?
It was the scariest thing, I have to say. The first 5 years, my primary goal was to ensure that I could uphold and maintain the level of standard that she had presented with her kids. And she has been an incredible mentor along the way. Mm-hmm. She's stepped back and allowed me to kind of do my thing and explore in my way, and I still have lunch with her many, many times throughout the year, and I really, really am so grateful to her for all the guidance that she gave me. The community itself, they just embraced me when I came in, and I think that is another key for allowing me to feel so welcome. And the board all decided to have these different dinners in their houses where they would host and invite family members to come meet Margaret, and I was able to probably go to 6 or 7 different dinners around DC, Maryland, Virginia, and it was really a wonderful way to get to know the community. And I quickly learned that I was in the right place, and I loved meeting everybody, and I still am very close to many of those parents. It's great.
And you'd have heard Margaret talking there a little bit about Miss G, as you might have seen in our recent season announcement that Miss G is actually coming back to conduct a piece in our 30th anniversary concert on June 7th. It's going to be a lovely opportunity to get our alumni involved. And Margaret, when you started at CCW, the 20th anniversary had just passed.
Yeah.
Now it's our 30th anniversary.
Yeah.
And I wonder, as you look back over the last 10 years, are there specific things that really come to mind as key achievements, things that you're most proud that the organisation has achieved under your leadership?
I would say that there are two or three of, well, there's probably more, but one of the, of course, the things that you mentioned was the WETA Songs of the Season broadcast. During the pandemic, it was very clear to me that DC and this whole surrounding area, which is just rich in choral singing, I've never seen it before. Actually, it's quite amazing. It was just so sad that we were unable to come together and enjoy the holidays without any concerts. And I went to WETA and asked the producers, would you consider putting on a broadcast where we could pull together all of our different choral groups with recordings? And they said, well, we'll consider it. And so I pitched it and we put it together, and now we're going into our 5th season of that, and we've broadened our reach to parts of Virginia that we haven't been to, and Maryland as well. And it just, for me, having access to choral singing is one of my main goals, right? And this was a wonderful way to do that, and I just love every year watching that. The other thing that I think is one of my highlights is I created this Harriet Tubman tour along with some other colleagues, and I am just so grateful for the opportunity that I could take my kids to explore the Eastern Shore and follow and trace Harriet Tubman's journey up through Philadelphia, and then they continued on to New York. And this was a long-term kind of a project that I was able to do together with some very close colleagues of mine, and it's one of those experiences that I will never forget. And really just coming to life, seeing Harriet Tubman, these prominent leaders that are very kind of, I don't know, unsung in some ways, that they have such an incredible force, and I'm inspired by them, and I was so excited to be able to have my kids experience that, but also see how singing and the spirituals, that was where it was all created. That kind of having music become a powerful source in its own way, and singing, it's great.
When I was looking at the job posting for my position with CCW, one of the first pieces of writing that I saw about the organisation was your artistic vision statement. And a big focus of that, of course, on the quality of the experience, but also on making sure that choral singing and the impact of CCW can be available to any student across the city. Last year we opened our first site in Southwest, and I'd love to hear you speak a little bit about that vision and how you see it coming to life.
Right. Well, that was the other thing that I was really excited about over my tenure here, is to really explore how can we continue to expand our reach into other parts of DC. And when I came to DC, it was clear to me that this was one of the messages too, that the Children's Chorus of Washington did not look like DC. And how can we continue to make this something that will draw students? So over the course of the 10 years, I tried many different ways of bringing students from Southwest up here, trying to find a really great funders who can help with their tuition. And obviously tuition is a big area that I wanted to make sure that was not a source of a barrier in any way. And then, of course, where we rehearse, which is, up in Northwest DC, and that was also a barrier. So access to our chorus through tuition, assistance, and then our location. So working again closely with many people, that's how I do things, is we were able to establish this great Southwest campus. It's flourishing. I connected with Para Perry, who was at Ammon and Bowen Elementary School, and that was also through the DCPS All City Chorus. And we connected immediately and established that this was a community that needed to have some access to CCW, and so that's what was one of the things that I started. And then in our 25th year, we established the Joan Gregoric Scholarship Fund, which also created access to CCW.
So now we're in our 30th year, and our season theme is DC Voices. Can you tell us a little bit about how you selected that theme, what it means for CCW to be celebrating DC, and why that's important and personal for you?
Well, I wanted DC Voices because I'm very well aware that we are situated in a part of the country that is a place where people come to protest, they come to speak forward and to try and make a difference. And the DC Voices theme was inspired by Joan, actually, because I really feel like she saw a need. And she said, I need to create a chorus. And she went and did it. And there are so many, Harriet Tubman, there's so many incredible leaders here that I want to highlight this year and make apparent to my choristers that they have the power within them to also become leaders. And it doesn't have to be just the people who came before or people who were in history, but how can we create a community and an environment where I can empower my students to feel like there's so many areas that they can be agents of change.
And we have some exciting concerts coming up this year. Will you say a little bit about our winter concert and our guest soloist who's coming along for that?
Yes. So this winter I was very thrilled to reach out to Robert Baker, who is a very well-known DC tenor, and he's a teacher at GW as well, but also a former board member and parent of CCW. Again, a very prominent DC voice that literally is a singer and has a voice, but I was so thrilled that I could highlight him in this winter.
Yeah, that's amazing. And then in our final concert of the year, which is our 30th anniversary concert celebration, we have finally, I think, this might be the first announcement, secured Howard Crampton Auditorium as the venue, and we have an exciting new commission from a Howard alumni.
Right.
So I wonder if you might share a little bit about that piece and that exciting project.
So I was able to find Nolan Williams, and he did some incredible work. He is an Oberlin grad also, and a DC composer, and very active. He is like social justice and having a purpose in what he's saying. It all aligns with what I believe, and felt like he was the right person for this commission. So I was telling him about this season theme, and we're looking at lots of different text, from speeches that have been given here in DC to just prominent figures that we can kind of use to inspire the text for that commission. So that's going to be at our special celebration at Howard University, which is also one of his. He went to Howard, I think, for his master's, but excited that he could be there for that too.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I want to cycle back a little bit. You told us about moving from the West Coast to DC for this particular position, but just to explore a few of your earlier influences, you were working with the San Francisco Boys Choir and teaching in your parents' school right before you were here. Can you say a little bit about how that has made you the leader you are today?
Well, I was fortunate that my brother, who is a singer, and he continues to be teaching at the Manhattan School of Music.
And maybe he's watching online?
Yeah, possibly. He told me he was.
Shout out to him if he's on there.
Christopher Nomura. He grew up in the San Francisco Boys Chorus. And so I sat glued to many of those rehearsals and concerts from the balcony. I remember watching him and watching the conductor, and I was just mesmerized by this. And so the music would come in and I'd listen to it. I never thought that it was really paving the way for me to have a career actually working with the San Francisco Boys Chorus. So I spent 18 years as the Associate Artistic Director there. We established 2 or 3 different campuses and built our program, the theory curriculum, all of it. And I was able to work under the leadership of Ian Robertson, who is the opera chorus director at the San Francisco Opera. So again, artistic excellence was always at the forefront, and this was kind of like my barometer of where I needed to take the kids. My parents, they have this school that they started. My mother started this school. My parents both came from Japan. And my mother was, my grandparents actually have a school in Japan. And my mother was told she would never be allowed to run the school in Japan, being a woman. So she said, well, I want to go someplace where I can start a school. So she started it as a preschool. And I was one of her first students. And then as it developed and grew, it slowly went from preschool to elementary to middle, and it was going to high school. And I came back to the school. My husband and I, we both worked at the school. I was the music teacher for the preschool as well as the middle school and elementary. And I was also involved in many administrative things, from the scheduling to the curriculum to hiring, and really looking at the organization as a whole. And this also paved kind of like my way here to this position. I had no idea that this job here was exactly all the things that I was doing led to this.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's great. And then when you left school, you went to Oberlin.
Yep.
And some people might not know that there seems to be a flurry of Oberlin graduates working for CCW. I guess Margaret only likes to hire from Oberlin. But you were a classical pianist to start with, right?
Right, yeah.
And then you had a slight change of direction.
Right. So I went to Oberlin as a piano performance major, and I think I was following my parents' wishes to follow after my brother, who was continuing to study in voice. And I realized very quickly that performing piano was not where my passion was. And I am a collaborator, and I feel much better working with people to come together so that we as a team can build something and put it on the stage in that way. And that's what led towards music education. And Oberlin was a small enough school so that the music ed program was very, very strong, and the choral program was very strong. And they really kind of embraced me, and I could do like so many things there. I just felt like I was meant to be there. I had some incredible professors, and was able to really feel like this is a direction I want to pursue.
And that sense of the kind of close environment of everyone knowing each other and the people in the Oberlin school supporting one another. My sense is that in CCW there's this aspect that the kids who come into the chorus, they're not just walking in, being ticked off on the register, doing their rehearsal and leaving, and not being known by the people who are around. And something that you've been very intentional about cultivating is this sense that every young person who's part of our program is really known as an individual, as an individual within CCW, and there being a community around it. That seems like it's something that's really important to you.
It is important, and I think the choral experiences that I have had where the directors really take note of who you are and what your journey is, that's what my high school choral director did for me. And I just felt valued and seen. And I'm working with many students now who are in that high school age where they're kind of trying to figure things out. And I remember that. And it's being an advisor in many ways, but helping them know that I'm there for them too. Yeah. And that the organization is really there looking after their kids from the minute they walk in that door for that audition, that this is the place that we can make a difference in your life. And hopefully, I think we've done a pretty good job at that.
So, to bring this kind of to a close, you are loved by this community, by students, by their parents, by anybody that knows CCW and has seen the work that you've done. I would love to ask you if you could offer a piece of advice to a young person, maybe it's a student in one of your choirs who's thinking about what their future looks like as you reflect on your experiences. Is there a piece of advice that you would offer to a young person to sort of guide them on their next steps?
I think one of the biggest takeaways that I have in my job is seeing my young choristers develop through my program and then move on. That's hard, but to see what they do and to hear the exciting things that they do with their lives. Some of it is musical, some of it is not. And that is my ultimate goal, is that I hope I've planted a seed within them that through singing we have established a community, but we've also established a way for them to feel empowered and confident, and I hope that I can let them know that they can tap into that passion that they have. If they see a need somewhere, they have the ability to make a difference and to change it. And these kids are amazing. They are so much smarter than me in many ways. I just love watching them, and I'm honored to be a part of their life and to have some influence in their life is that's the biggest gift for me. So
thank you, Margaret.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for sharing with me and with everybody today. This wraps up the first ever Harmony Hour, or Harmony third of an hour, and it's been a pleasure to be here with you today. Thank you again to Margaret for sharing so generously. Thank you to you for watching. Thank you to our amazing Harmony Hour producer, Kirsten Falazzo. Looking forward to seeing you on the next one. We'll do a few more of these across the year, and it's a pleasure to spend some time with you.